My video on selecting the equation given a graph. So in our last unit, we looked at an equation and we wrote the graph. Now what we're going to do is when given the graph, we are going to come up with the equation. So I'm going to give you a strategy to do this. So here are the steps. The first step is to pick 3 coordinates that are on the line. The next step is going to be to make a table and record your coordinates from left to right so that the x values remain in order from least to greatest. Then we're going to match the table to the equation by plugging the x values into the equation to get the y values. Now I know it seems like I'm screaming, but I'm trying to talk really loud so that the videos are easier for you to hear. So if it sounds like I'm screaming or I'm really upset, I'm just trying to talk very loud. Okay, let's look at example number 1. It says, choose the equation that best represents the graph. So this one, we need to, first of all, the line is not drawn in, so we're going to need to connect the coordinates. And then we need to draw arrows to show that this is actually a line. And what I like to always do is circle the y-intercept. And we also, in class, we also call it the target. So now the target is on 1. Now, I said to pick 3 coordinates, so we're going to make our xy table. And I can pick any 3, okay? So, and I said to go from left to right, so we're going to look at this one. This is the first one from left to right, and I see -2, 2. Now, this one is 0, 1, but a lot of times people have trouble writing that one. So if this is one you struggle to write, you can just skip that one and go on to this one. So I'm just going to skip it to show that it's possible to skip points as long as you're picking 3. So this one is 2, 0. And then this one is 4, -1. Now the one that I skipped for reference is 0, 1. Okay? Now, look at the y-intercept, or the number that we put the target on. The number we put the target on is 1. So that means the y-intercept is 1. So which one does not end with +1? That's correct. It's this one. So cross it out. And now look at your x and compare it to your y. And the next rule says x plus 1. So do you think the rule is x plus 1 to get from this to this, from this to this, from this one to this one? And no, it is not +1, so cross it out. Now we're down to 2 choices, okay? So I'm going to tell you how to type this into your calculator, and I'm also going to tell you how to do it in your head as well. So if you're double checking this in your calculator, you would have to type in 1 divided by 2 negative times -2 plus 1. And then do the same for the others. So 1 divided by 2 negative times 2 plus 1. And then 1 divided by 2 negative times 4 plus 1. Okay? But we're going to actually do it in our head here together. So what is half of -2? And half of -2 is -1, but remember we're multiplying it by a negative, so a negative times a negative is a positive. So I get +1, and 1 plus 1 is 2, so it works. Now, half of 2 is 1, but remember the negative, so that makes it -1, and -1 plus 1 is 0. Okay, half of 4 is 2, but remember we're multiplying by -1/2, so that makes it -2, and -2 plus 1 is -1, so it works for each one, and so I circle C. And let's just double check D. 3 times -2 is -6. -6 plus 1 is -5, so clearly it is not D. Okay, moving on to the next one. Now, the next 3 examples are going to be a little different. And let's see if you can look at the graph and find out how this one is different from the previous one. And if you said the coordinates are not on the graph, that is correct. But we can actually make our own coordinates. So turn this into a line by putting the arrows on the ends. And circle your y-intercept, or in class we call it our target. And now we're going to mark, I'm actually going to mark all of them, but when we make our table, we're only going to put 3 of them. So before I mark them, let me tell you what we're looking for. We're looking for ones that meet at the corner of a box. So if you see the line go through here or here, this is what I mean by the corner of a box. And you don't have to draw these in. Just kind of watch me. So we're looking at ones that meet in a corner. Okay, so let me go ahead and erase these out. Okay, now I'm going to start making my point. So I can see it here. 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 And I can see it here. Now, I don't need all of these points. How many do I need? 3. So I only need 3 of them. So I'm going to start from left to right, because that'll get it in order from least to greatest. My x is in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to use this one. So -2, 6, and -1, 4. And this time I am going to use this one so we get practice using this coordinate. So this is, I don't move, so I take the helicopter up to 2, so that means it starts with a 0, so it's 0, 2. Now we have our table. We know our target or our y-intercept is at 2, so we're looking for something that ends in +2. So this one ends in +6, so get rid of it. And this one, look at the first rule. It says x plus 2. So -2 plus 2, 6? Absolutely not. So now let's go with the next one. We have -2 times -2. +4. And 4 plus 2 is 6, so it works. -2 times -1 is +2. Plus 2 is 4, so it works. And -2 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 is 2. So it works for each one. So let's circle choice B. And let me just make sure this one doesn't work. So 2 times -2 is -4. -4 plus 2 is -2. So it clearly doesn't work. Now, just another thing you can look at too. If you read the line like a book and it's sloping down like it is, then the number in front of the x will be negative. Okay, so that's something, that's a little hint for you when you're picking out these equations, if you can remember that. Okay, and let me cross out C, I forgot to do that, so the correct answer is B. Okay, moving on, we've got 2 more examples to do. So let's look at number 3. First of all, let's turn this into a line. Okay, circle our target. which is the y-intercept where it crosses the y-axis. And now I'm going to make my coordinates, and I'm going to make all of them, but we're only going to put 3 in here. Now, when you're not doing your notes, do you have to make all of them? No, but I want to show you all of them for our notes purposes. So let's mark one here, meets at the corner of a box. It meets here, of course, because that's the y-intercept. It meets here, and it meets here. So now we only have 4 to pick from. So remember, start from left to right. So here, we're going to start with -1, -4. Remember, your x always comes first. And then here, I'm going to skip this one. Okay, this is 0, -1, but I'm going to show you that you don't have to do the points in order. So we're going to pick 1, 2. And then we're going to pick this one. So over 2, up 5, so it's 2, 5. Now, your target is around -1, or another way of looking at it, your y-intercept crosses the y-axis at -1, so the equation should end with -1, and this one doesn't. So clearly, if you look at all these, the pattern is not times 2 for all of them. It is for this one, but not this one and this one. And remember, our equation has to work for all our values. So look here. We have 4 times x minus 1. So 4 times -1 is -4. Minus 1 is -5. So this one clearly doesn't work. Cross out A. Next one, -1 minus 1 is -2. Oh, doesn't work. So it's looking like choice D, but let's make sure. 3 times -1 is -3. Minus 1 is -4. 3 times 1 is 3. Minus 1 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Minus 1 is 5. So they all work, so circle choice D. And just another reminder, read the line like a book, and it is sloping up. So we know that the number in front of the x should be positive. Okay? So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, and let's look at our last example, example number 4. So once again, choose the equation that best represents the graph. And for whatever reason, my lack of technology didn't allow me to make lines here, so we got to make our own arrows. So circle your target or your y-intercept, and I'm circling 3. And let's make our coordinates. So remember, we're looking for a corner of a box. So here, 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 and here, and here. Okay, now we need to pick 3 of those. We actually made 5 of them, so we're going to pick 3. And so I'm going to go left to right. And this time, I'm going to pick this one, and this one. Okay. No, I lied. I'm going to pick this one, and this one. So let's pick -2, 2. 0, 3, because remember, you're going to take the helicopter up to 3, so the first number is 0, and the second number is +3. And then we're going to use this one, so this is over 2, up 4, so it's 2, 4. Okay, now, the target is on 3, so that passes through the y-intercept at 3. Sorry, passes through the y-axis at 3, so the y-intercept is 3. So that means the equation is going to end with +3. So we can eliminate choice B, and we can eliminate choice A. Now we're down to choice C and choice D. So half of -2 is -1. -1 plus 3 is +2. Half of 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. Half of 2 is 1, plus 3 is 4. So this one is our winner. And let's just make sure D doesn't work. So 2 times -2 is -4. -4 plus 3 is -1. Yes, it clearly doesn't work. And our answer is choice C. Okay, I hope you now understand how to match a graph up to an equation, and I hope you have a great day.